All right, everybody, welcome back again to the KSR YouTube channel. Today's just going to be kind of a general shop update. What's going on with all the projects going on in here, what we're working on. Yep,
NASCAR.
It's back. Oh yeah, check this out. It's a freaking NASCAR. All right, so while you're here, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a like, give us a comment. I try to get in there and reply to as many of them as I can. We got a little busy last week with all the World Cup stuff, and the internet service was so bad at the track. Didn't even try to get on YouTube to reply to comments or like and respond to them. But I'm gonna try to do better for the next weeks coming up here. If you guys want any KSR merch, www.winwithksr.com. We've got shirts and hats and some hoodies, stickers, lanyards. Got a couple other little things coming. Maybe some coffee cups for you KSR coffee people. So I think another thing we're gonna do is a Q&A here pretty soon. So if you guys want to ask us some questions down in the comments, we'll take probably take 10 to 20 of them, and I'll read them, answer them, maybe with some of the other guys in the shop. Probably do that one evening coming up or something. I don't know if I'll do it live or not. Maybe we will. I haven't done a live one in a while. Anyways, we're gonna kind of walk around a little bit, give you an update on each project, what's been happening behind the scenes. Kind of took the last week off just because of all the World Cup stuff. I filmed a bunch at World Cup, but haven't even really looked at it to see if it's worth putting a video together. It was kind of a long week with some struggles, which you guys saw on Cletus's channel. But this video, like I said, we're gonna check out some different things in the shop. So anyways, while you're here, please subscribe to the channel. Got some cool stuff coming up. Got another big YouTuber's car coming in just for a little quick tune-up before the burnout shenanigans next weekend at Cletus & Cars, which next weekend is also 2.4 hours of Les Mullets, where Taylor Ray and I are gonna whoop some butt. Yeah, we've got some pretty good average finish between the two of us. Felt like we got snookered on the last one, but this time we're not. So we're pretty excited about that. Anyways, yeah, let's get started with this video. All right, I just realized this video is going to be dropping on Veterans Day. So just wanted to say a huge thanks to all of our veterans that, go around the world to protect our country and our way of life. A lot of us that haven't served in the military, we don't realize just how big of a sacrifice it is to leave your family for months on end, putting your life in danger to protect your country. But that's a big deal, and we appreciate that here at KSR. If you guys didn't know, Travis is a veteran of the Marine Corps, and we appreciate him, and of course everybody else that served. So all right, well, let's get back to the video. All right, well, the last car you saw in one of our videos of shop build stuff was Rick's Camaro. It's done, it runs. We should have got it on video. I think I've got it on video from a few days back, right before I left for World Cup. The only thing left to do is put a radiator in it. And we had a radiator that we thought we were gonna use in it. Started mocking it up in some different places, and it just didn't fit the way I wanted it to. I was gonna lay it down flat, but it ended up to where I felt like it was in danger of getting damaged, either from a wheelie, that would have killed it if it came down hard, but also from possibly even loading it on a trailer. It wasn't the lowest part of the car, like the front bumper was still the lowest part, but didn't want to put it in harm's way. This is our wiring for the fan, so we'll finish that. But I got a smaller radiator that's gonna fit right here in this hole vertically, and it's got a pretty rowdy fan on it to hopefully keep it cool. Got the alternator mount all done, no adjustment in it, and that is a stretch fit belt like what some of the earlier GM LS trucks came with on them. And you can see we've got our expansion tank tied into there. Valve covers tied into this side of the tank we built is the engine catch tank, and then this side over here is the expansion tank. This line here will hook up to the top of the radiator to keep all the air bled out of it. It's a really good system, kind of the same thing we did on Shawn's Nova, which Shawn's Nova, if you look at it, we'll move on to that one. It's got the hood and the front bumper on it. Travis actually wrapped that up today, getting the black Zeus fasteners in on the front of it. We've got to tweak our headlight wiring just a little bit. We got our core support almost done. And we kind of did this way because this is going to get welded here, and then we're going to have a nice little trough right here for tools, spark plugs, whatever ends up in there when you're working on the car. Just drop them down right in there. And it also seals off air from getting up under the hood and wanting to rip the hood off the car. So you can kind of see how it's sealed off. You know, there's like a 1/8 of an inch gap right there under the front hood edge. And then we did the black, so from a few feet away they'll kind of blend in. And this, I think we'll probably have it painted or powder coated like a semi-gloss black or a flat black. But it's got the bumper on it now. I think we've got our little fueling issue fixed that I was having with it, wanting to be silly. Kind of turns out, at least what I think was happening. Hopefully that's all fixed now. So just a couple more touch-up things on this. I'm gonna roll it across the dyno just to make sure everything seems happy, and then take this to the track hopefully next weekend. There's an event after Cletus and Cars at Bradenton. I think we're gonna try and take Shawn's car down there, and hopefully this. Yep, Mullet's back again. CJ's about got the transmission out, which is ready to come out, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is actually Soccer Mom's transmission we stuck in here for the World Cup. Go ahead and come down. All right, clear. Did you get the dipstick?
Stop.
Okay. Travis getting the dipstick. May have to go back up a little bit.
I mean, I got slack.
Hmm?
I said I got slack.
Yeah, it's really tight. Here, hold that for a second. We fought this getting in.
I guess you had to use your man hands.
I guess so. So, all right, you can go ahead and come on down with that. So, Soccer Mom's transmission, a borrowed converter from another friend of mine. And turns out it's just a little too loose still. So, if you guys haven't seen on Cletus's channel, there is a Turbo 400 that will be here, I think, next week. And I think if we work this out right, the only thing I'm going to be waiting on is a drive shaft. So I'm trying to put my mock-up Turbo 400 transmission in the car. And if we can get a drive shaft measured with that, we can go ahead and get the drive shaft here, or at least here right after the transmission shows up. And then we are ready to go with hopefully getting it right back to the track with the Turbo 400 in it. Travis making a mess with snatching the converter out.
Where's my logo?
Ew.
That smells.
You guys can't smell it, but that don't smell so good. And so we run a AMSOIL synthetic compressor oil in at least all of my transmissions that we do. Either that or a really good quality hydraulic fluid. So the fluid we have been running in like Soccer Mom and a couple other cars is their thickest compressor oil that AMSOIL makes. So the idea is that that helps tighten up the torque converter because the fluid's a little thicker and all that stuff. And since we were having kind of the same issue on Mullet, we took a jug of that fluid with us. Get this thing back on the bench, go through it just to make sure nothing's hurt. So I had kind of peeked at it before we left for World Cup and didn't seem like anything was majorly hurt in it, but I'm gonna jump back in it just to double check. And then we will be ready to put that transmission back in Soccer Mom. And then that'll be that. So what we're hoping for on this thing is that this area of the tunnel clears the Turbo 400. If that clears, we'll be okay. We should be able to get the thing back together pretty quickly. I kind of think it might need to be tweaked here My plan was to keep the cross member all together, but you know, so that way you could get a power glide swap back into it. But if we have to take the tunnel out, then we've got to cut and widen this out, because I know the mount's a little further back on a Turbo 400, and our mount already kicked backwards a little bit as it was. You can see how the mount kicks back there to get the tube back where it needed to be, and that's kind of one of the things we did when we installed the engine and transmission here. So we'll be bringing you a video on this thing as we actually dig into working on it. But how about that thing over there? So this is a Richard Childress chassis, real deal NASCAR, except it's being converted more for a road race monster. So a buddy of ours, Phil Smith, local to us here. So he got this thing and it had actually never been raced. And he bought it as a roller and then put I believe a LS3 in it that he went through himself, slid a little camshaft in it. It's got a Holly on it. We're gonna do a little bit of tuning there. We've got to rebuild this because it doesn't, this part here was actually from another car. So you can see it doesn't quite fit there. And then down here on the chassis side, we've got to reconnect that, make those all fit a little bit better. We've got to mount his seat because the seat is got some Bluetooth mounts going on. We need to connect there to there. We're probably just going to make a new tube down there for the bottom that lets us get in there and mount that seat in. Just a few little things like that, and then hopefully, oh, we got to mount the radiator fan, maybe remake some of his oil lines, mount the expansion tank for the coolant, and then we'll be bringing you some video rolling this thing up on the dyno and making a whole lot of noise with it. Speaking of the dyno, let's go see what we got going on at the dyno. Oh yeah, there's that car here. All right, so Lee's twin turbo yellow Viper. Kind of just waiting on the time for me to get into the ECU and do some tuning. It's got a fuel tech on it, and it's got a 16 volt battery that we put in it. Had a 16 volt alternator on it, but the alternator's not charging, so we've got the alternator sent off for a checkup there. I didn't want to be constantly charging the battery while I was trying to tune it. So the idea was get the alternator back, get it on there. It will still crank up and run, but we've got a couple of other little things we need to work on it. Like the brake pedal's not really, doesn't feel like it does a whole lot. So we're gonna re-engineer, modify the brakes to get us some actual pedal pressure. Probably gonna have to do something with pedal ratio or something like that to improve the brake feel in this thing. Because I mean, at idle, it's hard to stop it even at idle. And obviously that thing is gonna go really, really fast with a V10 with twin turbos on it. So on the dyno is actually David's S10. He calls the Dirty Dime. This one's been down a little while because it actually split a sleeve in the block. Had a factory LS block, stock block deal. It was like a rod piston 6.0 and cracked a sleeve in it actually about a year ago. And David took a little time off. We've got another stock block combination in the thing. Yeah, I know that might sound silly, but we got a better block this time than what the iron block was. And hopefully this sucker boogies. So this is another real similar combination to what's in Soccer Mom. Still on ethanol fuel. So we'll be finding out what it makes with the new power plant. Unfortunately, right now, my dyno's broke. We went to load this thing up the other night. Dyno decided it did not want to communicate with the computer that we use for all of the recording, the data analysis. So we're overnighting parts from California. So waiting on some parts to come in. Originally it was going to be a month, but then they called us yesterday and said, hey, we think we've got some parts. Since your dyno is older, you don't need all of the eddy brake controls. So hopefully they're going to have us a controller here tomorrow, and then we'll dyno David's truck, and then he is off to Truck Wars in Middle Georgia Motorsports Park. He actually has won, I believe, the Extreme Mini class. I think he's won it twice now. And that's another project of ours, kind of started out something just for David to go have some fun with, and the thing ended up faster than we thought it was going to be, which is a good problem to have. And he is stepped it up a little bit. The original combination had stock heads on it. That one has some Trick Flow Ascast 220s, same cylinder head we have on Soccer Mom and the Lawn Dart. And hopefully it'll be a pretty good runner. But we'll find out more about that hopefully tomorrow when the dyno parts come in. But the last thing we've got here that's at least getting worked on right now is Jimmy's Fox Body Mustang. We cut out the subframe connectors and the #1 bar of the underneath the floor, added a new one, and then we're redoing the tubes that connect down to there. I only had a single tube here, should have been a double. I was actually thinking that was going to suffice for the #1 bar with the chassis spec. The inspector said no, so ended up adding just another bar into the floor. And then we've got to mount the transmission, put a TRZ anti-roll bar in the back, and finish the tubular front end here. There's going to be a piece that comes out and holds the front end up, as well as through that hole you can kind of see the roll bar or the roll cage way up in there. So the idea is to run a bar all the way up through, connect to the roll cage right there, and then it'll come out of here and turn down and catch the hoop that goes around the front, and then it'll be all connected together, be nice and stiff. And then Jimmy's gonna get his engine in here and start going fast. I believe it's gonna be a Coyote with a, I think, some kind of big Whipple on it, or big screw, root style blower on top of the engine. Not the ones that stick up out of the hood, all crazy like what Toast has got on it, but something that's under the hood. Jimmy races in the NMRA, National Mustang Racers Association. This car has a lot of history in Pure Street, and Jimmy is, I think, won the championship twice in Pure Street, which used to be a naturally aspirated stick shift class. And in class rules, this thing had a 302 old style small block Ford, had a stock lift hydraulic roller camshaft in it with factory lifters in the thing. And you can look back at some of our older dyno videos where Jimmy had this on the dyno and made pretty good power. I don't think we posted power because it was pretty secretive back then, but turned this thing over 9,000 RPM with the 302 based engine. This combination isn't going to be quite like that, I don't think, but still should go faster than the naturally aspirated combo ever did. But this thing would do like huge, like 3-gear wheelies because it was a stick shift. Jimmy was rowing some gears on it. But that's going to wrap up kind of the shop walk around. Like I said, we'll have a video on Mullet and putting the Turbo 400 in pretty soon here. And then also hopefully dyno tuning David's truck. Might do a dyno video on rolling Shawn's car across the dyno again. And also Rick's car across the dyno. And then our other little surprise project that's coming in over the weekend. That one will be pretty exciting for maybe not a lot of you guys, but I think you'll recognize the car once it gets here. So that's going to wrap up this video. Appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. Go to winwithksr.com if you need any KSR merch. We'll see you next time.